12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast, episode 57. We got cut off in the middle of the interview, but that's okay because we're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Like I said, my guest is Christina. She's definitely given us some really good information in terms of her journey and some of the struggles that she faced within with alcohol and everything. I know that we were just touching on before it got cut off, just the importance of the reaching out to the we'll just say it, the Black representation in the sober community.
Right.
And I'm not gonna, I'm gonna be honest. I love it. I have personal relationships with a lot of people in the sober community. I have people's phone numbers. People have been mentors to me. I've mentored others because I think that it's very important that we do interact and hopefully in the future do some collaborations because we need to expand the base of sobriety in the Black community. Because like I said, I think I mentioned it to you earlier in terms of like entertainment. I used to work in entertainment in the early 2000s. I used to work in radio. A lot of the legends or the goats, you want to say, I partied with them in the early 2000s, here in Minnesota. And, to see some of these same people still in that lifestyle almost 20 years later, okay, that's your choice. But now that I'm seeing it as a problem, now it might be time to make that change. And there was somebody from one of the reality shows got busted for drugs and a DUI over the last couple of days. You had mixed, reactions. Some people were talking about them, instead of being encouraging. And I commented on it and I shot him out, the shade room. And I was like, well, how about you guys, start, putting an emphasis on the people that are out here in the sober community and let's celebrate them like you guys are celebrating these people getting DUIs and getting arrested for this stuff.
I completely agree.
I don't know who, if anybody commented, but it to me is like that's what I try to do. You know what I mean? And I've gotten followers off of that as well because I think that it's very important that this is a topic that's being talked about because it's, just like these professional athletes, these entertainers are endorsed by these alcohol brands. Why can't these same people be endorsed by some of these sober brands that are out here in the game too?
That's absolutely right.
So
that is absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess my thing is that your title or your handle on IG is sisters underscore in underscore sobriety. Now, where did that come up as far as a name, and who are those sisters in sobriety that you're trying to reach?
That's absolutely right. So when I created Sisters in Sobriety, it was right along the same lines of why you created 12 Faces of Sober. I want to encourage and show women of color this can be done. You can live a happy, healthy, sober life. And let me show you. And let me give you some encouragement and support along the lines. Sisters in Sobriety are moms. They're working women. They're, women stay-at-home moms or working moms. They're women who are bombarded on a daily basis with, life is stressful. Being a mom is stressful. Have a glass of wine. It's okay to unwind at the end of the day. I'm the one, you talked about commenting on that shade room post, and I'm the one, if I see anybody promoting that mommy wine culture, that, oh, I've had a stressful day with the kids, I'm going to have a glass of wine. And I'm going to be like, why don't you just take a nice bubble bath instead? Why don't you go outside and get some fresh air? Because absolutely not. I will. And I get hate for it. And I'm okay with that because I'll take the heat because I've been there. I've been the woman who said, I need to drink a couple shots of vodka in my minivan before I walk in the house because I've been working all day and now I have to come home and be a mom and be a wife and do all these other responsibilities and I don't know how to cope. And you can learn how to cope. But absolutely, I wanted to be, let me show my face. Let me show you that this is possible as a Black woman, as a Black mother, that we can be sober and have good, happy, healthy lives.
And you mentioned something key, because that was one of my questions, is how, what are some coping skills that you use to handle some of those stressful times? You mentioned, going through a divorce, kind of like that was, well, yeah, after you got sober. But I mean, so obviously that was hard. Breakups,
Yes,
relationships are hard.
absolutely.
I don't know what got going on in my life, but it's something.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
it's, and you mentioned, instead of the mommy wine culture, because I was like that kind of person where, like, okay, I was in the army. So what I would do is, before I got in the house, I would take me like a couple of those little airplane shooters,
Yeah.
slam a 24 ounce of malt liquor, and then go in the house and got to deal with my ex-wife and my stepkids. And
Yeah.
that was probably the wrong thing to do, because if they said something wrong to me, I'm going off on them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm getting into it with her, or even destructive mindset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how do you handle handle yourself during those times, as far as like,
Absolutely.
right coping skills and stuff?
Yeah. The biggest thing for me is playing the tape forward, taking a moment to step back and say, what would happen? I want to drink right now. This is a stressful situation, or I'm upset, or I'm frustrated, or I'm sad. What would happen if I took a drink right now? Play the tape forward. Let me see what that's going to look like. It never is good.
Mm,
There's never a good outcome from that. As a mother, I was still a good mom when I drank, right?
mm,
But I wasn't as patient. I wasn't as understanding. I wasn't as present. So my child, now, unfortunately for her, she went 7 years of her life with an alcoholic mother. And now she's had 2 years of her life as an 8 and 9 year old. To see what the difference is, it's a blessing and a curse. I wish that she could have always had me as a sober mom, but she can very clearly see the difference and verbalize that to me in my interactions with her, in my presence with her. So that's always another great just tool in itself, is saying, she's going to see this. She's going to be feeling all of this, and that is affecting her. That will affect her upbringing. Like, we're talking about breaking generational curses. I got to stop that so she doesn't have to deal with things that I dealt with, or go through the things that I went through. So playing the tape forward has been great. Thinking about my child and how those decisions will affect her have been great. But then also, some of the just super basic, like, sober toolkit kind of resources. I always go outside. Fresh air, whether it's even sunshine, is great, but also just being out in the night sky, the stillness, the silence. Yes, you hear nature, but the silence that the night brings you, it helps me to more clearly be able to understand what I'm going through, to hear what is happening in my head, kind of calm the overwhelmness, to really kind of process through that. And then, like I said, truly sitting in my feelings.
mm,
That has been extremely important for me, to be able to really, because a lot of times that immediate frustration was actually something else, or that immediate anger was actually something else underneath, and taking the time to really be able to process those things and then to work through them has been helpful. Therapy, I still go to therapy. I'm on, like, about every 2 weeks to a month at this point. I don't go twice a week anymore. That tapered down as I got further into my sobriety, but she is on call. If I can't, if there's an issue that I need to discuss with her, I can text her, I can call her, I can get an emergency appointment scheduled if I need to. And then having a good support system. I have always valued family and my circle, but through sobriety, that has grown immensely. To have people that I am super open and honest with, I think that brutal honesty comes with sobriety. But to have a group of people, I've got 3 people on standby. I can call them at any time of the day. They'll know. If it's just hey, I want to hang out or talk or whatnot, okay. But if I say, hey, I need you right now, I need to talk to you, I need to get out of this environment, I need you to come get me, whatever the situation might be, they'll be there without a doubt. Um, so having that support system is great. But yeah, I think having outlets outside of, like, learning new and fun exciting ways to process things in life. It doesn't always have to be so mundane. It doesn't always have to be so like I need to sit in this and really, yes, those things happen. They happen often, just having to sit in those emotions and really kind of delve through what's going on. But then also finding ways, if I'm feeling really just, out of sorts, overwhelmed, I'm turning on some music super loud and I'm just dancing around my living room for 10, 15 minutes. Bring my kid out here too. We're just going to dance it out for a minute, like absolutely. It doesn't always have to be so, intense, but I think having that big repertoire for me, it's the more the merrier. I have my typical go-tos. I like to walk a lot. So being able to go outside and walk, get some fresh air, sunshine, sitting under the stars, journaling, crafting. I've got things that are going to help keep me in a place where I can process what I'm going through without being destructive.
Mm. I like that, and that is definitely important, ladies and gentlemen. I would definitely try to suggest. I'll just share with you as well. When I was in treatment, like I said, I've been to let me see, I've been to 3 rehabs. The third time was the one I got sober, but I do recall when I went to one in Alexandria, Virginia, in 2014. They made us do a poster board, and it was like, okay, what are some things that you enjoyed while you were drinking, and then what are some things from that side will you want to do once you get sober? And then I said fishing, and so like I don't really know how to fish, but I was like, I just like to to be out there, with
Yes.
nature, like you said, hear the sounds, just zone out, like you said. It's the same way depending on what lake or what river you're on. You might not have that heavy flow of traffic, so you don't hear anything but just the bugs, and what I'm
Yes.
saying, and it's like super duper quiet. So I understand, and so I definitely piggyback off of what you're saying in terms of like finding things that you enjoy doing. If not, try new things that you may find yourself liking to do.
Yeah.
You got to keep yourself busy, and sometimes, yeah, you should be able to process and think about things from the past, but then you should also be able to process and think about those things, as you said, moving forward in
Yeah.
life. And that is key. And I like that. And I like, because that's the mindset that I'm on right now. It's like, okay, yeah, I had the situation going on, in Florida and Georgia, but look at the things that have happened to me since I've gotten back to Minnesota,
Right.
things like that, and being amongst the friends and being out, being able to get out and walk. Like I said, once this interview is done, I'm gonna get put my walking shoes on and go walk about a little distance and go to the state fair. I think it's
Yeah.
the nation's biggest state fair in the country, I believe, and I haven't been out here since been going to it since '05. But it
Okay.
is important. It is definitely important to utilize those resources, like you said, doing therapy, you know, doing some things that you may have loved in the past that you just kind of stopped doing for
Yeah.
whatever reason. And but next we're gonna transition into some quotes. Now
Okay.
you've talked about the dancing, and ladies and gentlemen, she has plenty of videos where she's dancing, and it's a good thing because it can definitely get your day going. So I highly recommend to follow her for that, because like I said, we all need that extra pick me up, or even just a smile or a laugh, but she also has great quotes. And so I scrolled through and tried to get, the best ones, but there were too many. So I just picked two that stood out. But this one, it took to my heart. It said, be real with yourself. If you're not feeling positive or happy, acknowledge that and know it's okay. Take your time and then progress. Now,
Right.
I'm gonna share how that, to me, like how I felt when I read that. um Sometimes when we make these type of changes in our lives, we want to blame others, but we have to also take accountability and be responsible for whatever mistakes that we made, if it's just something personal or if it's something dealing with the relationship. And one thing I've learned in sobriety is that you have to be honest. You have to come to grips and terms like, okay, look, man, look, I messed up. I maybe shouldn't have did this. I shouldn't have said that. But as long as you acknowledge it and know that, okay, this is not something that you're trying to do later on, then that's the start to get you, in a better position instead of continuing to not be honest with yourself.
That's right.
And when I came back from Florida, I mean from Georgia, Florida area, I was so hung up like what I could have did to make the situation better. But then I was like, all right, well, I can dwell in this for a little bit, but I got to pick myself up and I got to, continue being sober because my sobriety was in question. But I know that I needed to get myself back into doing things that I appreciated and loved. And it's definitely an honor to have you as my first guest because, like I said, I truly took a step away for 2 months in regards to doing podcasts because I couldn't be honest with the audience when I'm sitting here struggling as much as I was.
Right.
So this is definitely good to have this interview. And then so I guess I'll read the second one and then you can kind of touch on both of them unless you want to chime in on this one now.
You can go ahead and read the second.
Okay. And then the second one is you're going to have good days, bad days, overwhelming days, too tired days, I'm awesome days, I can't go on days, and every day you'll still show up. I like that one too. The right before I got sober in 2016, and this is almost literally 6 years to the day I became homeless, August 31st of 2016. There was a lady in the homeless shelter. Big shouts out to the Phoenix Rescue Mission in Phoenix, Arizona, that housed me for about 50 days and kicked me out. I mean, but when we had dinner, this lady was in line. She was kind of like, the monitor as far as, letting people in or so much. And she would go to each person and say, how are you doing today? And then, people would be like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm this, I'm that. She's like, no, you're awesome. So I want you to say I'm awesome. So when you said that, it just stuck out because it was like, I had to tell myself that over and over. Like I'm awesome because of the fact of like, all right, I'm making a commitment to myself. And I'm speaking in terms of now, in terms of like, there's a lot of people out here that wish that they can be sober. There are a lot of people that are not so much happy with the fact that I am sober, but I know that I'm awesome at what I'm doing because it's something different. And so, like I said, it's, we do have overwhelming days because despite the fact that we're sober, despite the fact that we're smiling, despite the fact that we're laughing, dancing, and showing that we're happy, we still struggle. You know what I'm saying? But we have to put on, and like I said, especially here recently, I just don't really care. I just tell it how it is. If I'm struggling today, I'm struggling today. I'm not going to sugarcoat it because I know that there are other people that are also struggling too. But then there's people like yourself where I could be struggling. I could jump on your page and be like, oh, okay, she's jamming. So now I'm taking my mind off of whatever issues I got. And now I'm focusing on that energy. And I think that that is key. So those are the two that I picked out. So, I don't know what you were thinking when you posted them, but definitely those ones really stood out to me.
Well, first of all, thank you very much because the whole point of Sisters in Sobriety is to do just that. When we're feeling down, when we're struggling, there was tons of accounts that I reached out to when I was having struggles to give me that encouragement and support and be like, I can do this. So I'm glad that it assisted you in some of those hard times. That's what we're here for, to help each other and encourage each other. The two main things that led to those quotes, number one is I did see this kind of wave of like toxic positivity going through the sober community. I definitely want to encourage. You're going to see me dancing. You're going to see me, smiling, laughing at myself, joking, but that's not all that sobriety is. We don't, just because we give up alcohol doesn't mean that all of a sudden our lives are completely great again. Most of the time we give up alcohol and our lives are pretty shit. And we're trying to figure out how to, get back on a better track. I obviously always want to provide support and encouragement, but I always want to be real. And real means that, there are going to be days when I can't get out of bed. There are going to be days when I don't want to do anything. There's going to be days when I want to drink, but I don't. And that's what makes me awesome. And that's what makes me like, I'm the shit, like I got this, even though I don't got this, I might need to call somebody. I might need to reach out to my therapist. I might need to just say, hey, I need a mental health day. I'm not coming into work today and sit in the bed all day, but I'm not going to drink. And that is, especially that second one, that is where that's coming from. I also think that it is important, like I said, for us to sit in those yucky emotions. I know for me personally, that's been a big drive within my sobriety is I'm no longer going to drink away the bad times. And I'm no longer going to drink to celebrate the good times either, but especially those bad times. It's okay to feel bad, and I'm going to sit in it, and I'm going to process it. I'm going to deal with it. And because I'm not drinking, that forces me, and I can't speak for anybody else, but for my particular situation, that forces me then to come up with other ways to handle these negative emotions or these, low vibrational, emotions that we're dealing with. What are ways that I can lift myself up, but also honoring the fact that it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to not always be like, I'm sober and I'm great and that's awesome. I am awesome and I am sober and that is great. And it's okay to feel bad while also going through all of that.
Right. I like that. I like that. Now we're getting close to the end of the interview, and I know you touched on it, but I want to ask it again.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's important. Now, I've been able to listen. You giving me a background of some of the childhood trauma that you faced. Your upbringing and how you may have your family may have had the drinking culture, but it wasn't necessarily something that was addressed. And then you talk about issues within your marriage, drinking in the workplace, all things that I've experienced. I was married for 6 years, went through a divorce. Uh, I could have went to jail numerous times just in that marriage because of my actions, not necessarily on me. She just liked to pick up the phone whenever I got drunk, even though I never got arrested. She did. But hearing all of that, and obviously, not necessarily seeing it in the physical, but you've overcame, a lot of odds. So how is life truly for you today as a sober woman? And as you said, as sisters in sobriety, like how is it truly for you?
It's a learning experience. Most days I do wake up with so much gratitude in my heart for this life that I've created for myself. Like I said, a lot of this sober journey has been me figuring out who I am as a single woman, as a single mom, just figuring out who Christina is outside of, my parents' daughter, my brother's sister, my daughter's mother, my ex's ex-wife, figuring out who I am outside of all of that. It's been a roller coaster, man. It's been a lot of ups and downs. I will not lie about that. This has been a very challenging almost 2.5 years now. But it's been so rewarding. The relationships in my family have become so much stronger. In my immediate family, my parents, me getting sober opened the door to a lot of conversations that I don't think would have been had without me getting sober, I talk openly about my abuse as a child, which my family knew about when I first went to therapy in my early 20s, but we didn't really discuss it. We didn't really talk about it. We didn't talk about how that affected me. But there's a lot of power in saying, again, coming from a Black community, those aren't things we talk about. Those aren't things, you don't talk about the family stuff. You don't talk about, the skeletons in the closet. And I was the first podcast I went on before it came out. I told my parents, there are going to be things that I talk about that you're probably not going to like, but this is my story. And they were extremely supportive. And, I think that getting sober has opened a lot of those conversations, not just with my immediate family, but a lot of my extended family. A lot of my extended family, we all saw what was happening as far as alcoholism in the family. And now we talk about those things, the conversations of, I have one cousin who's never really, I have two cousins really who never really drank. They've drank every now and then, but it's, very minimal. And actually having the conversation with one of them about that was because she saw what was going on in the family and realized nobody was talking about it. My cousin who I think she's got about 90 days at this point, reaching out to me when she was really struggling. And, I don't think if I hadn't talked openly about my sobriety that she would have ever thought to come to me. I don't think it had anything to do with her going to get the help she needed. That was all on her. She gets to take full credit for that. Mm-hmm. But I do love the fact that because I opened up about my sobriety and because I got sober, I was able to be there for her when she was struggling a lot. But I think all in all, my relationship with my child has improved greatly. We had a great relationship before, but again, it deepens all of these relationships because now I have a clear mind. Now I am present. It also opened the door for a lot of growth within me as I discovered myself, as I discovered, like we talked about, finding new passions. I'm currently in the coursework for getting certified as a breathwork instructor because breathwork became super important to me within my recovery. I do a lot of yoga. I'm very spiritual. All these things came out of my sobriety. Again, just trying to learn more about myself. And in the process, just finding these avenues of ways to discover who I am. But I love my life. I absolutely love my sobriety. I love Sisters in Sobriety. I overjoyed with, the fact that I can provide support and encouragement to women. I do want to continue to seek out Black sober women, Black sober people, I definitely am looking in the near future to, collaborate with some Black sober women in the Atlanta area and get some actual meet and greets together to meet some of these women face to face. That's just as important as that online sober community is to have those in-person relationships, pick up the phone and be like, hey, let's go do something fun that's not centered around alcohol, So I'm blessed. I am absolutely blessed with this life. It is not easy. Every day is work. Recovery is work every day, but it's work I want to do. And I'm very honored that I'm allowed to do it.
I love everything about that. That is super awesome, for real.
Thank you.
Before we get up out of here, I usually allow the guests to do a little bit of the closing before we go. And what would be your message to the sisters that are curious about sobriety, that are early in sobriety, or those with time under their belt, just from your own personal experiences of
absolutely
how things are?
What I would say to the sisters that are curious or new in sobriety, please know you are not alone. This is a journey. Recovery is a journey. It is hard, but it is worth every single hardship. It is worth all the struggles, and it will take time. And the work never stops, okay? But there are people like Kenneth and I out there that are absolutely willing to help you along the way, to give you encouragement and support, to help you with resources in the local area or online. And for the ones that have got some time under their belt, keep doing it. Keep doing the good work. Keep doing it every day. It's okay to have bad days. It's okay if you're 2 years or 6 years or 10 years or 15 years and feel like, oh crap, I'm on day one again. That's okay. You got back up and you're on day one again if it happens. And even if it didn't happen, but you feel like you want it to happen, that's okay too.
Yes. Now, I like that right there. Look at that. Perfect time. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes another wonderful episode of 12 Faces of Sober Speaks podcast. let me just say that this has alleviated my anxiety, because usually when I go through personal things, I just kind of isolate myself. So to be able to get back in the mode of doing the podcast, I feel I feel like I got to get back out there, because having good people like Christina on here and be able to share the story, to give, hope, motivation to somebody else that might be struggling, or some of the same situations that they may have faced, and to show that, hey, you can make it out of it if you just do X, Y, and Z. That's the main reason why I do the podcast. I try not to talk as much. I let the guests do most of it, because I want them to be able to, do the stories. And like I said, this was another wonderful interview. I definitely want to do more collaborations with you, Christina, because I love your energy. And like I said, that energy can rub off on me, but I think you're a really good person. I don't know you like that, but just from the conversation that we have and your interactions on social media, I can tell that it's definitely genuine. And I'm very honored, like I said, to have had you on here and to hear some of the things, because, like I said, a lot of the stuff that you were saying, I totally forgot about, in terms of loving myself, taking care of myself. And like I said, I try my best to learn something from my guests and take something from each guest that I have, because it would make no sense to just have somebody on here and not learn from them. So
That's
again, thank you. I'm going to put all of Christina's information in the description box. It's not just going to be on YouTube. I'm going to get on the grind and add it on to the other platforms that I've already set up. And like I said, be on the lookout for the children's book that I am working on in production right now. I need to get the Army book done, as well as I might just do the radio book and go ahead and just tell my own personal business when I worked on radio, but I won't name the celebrities. But
right.
yeah, but like I said, once again, Christina, thank you. If you have any questions, you can let me know before we close. But if not, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor to be here. It's great conversation.
Thank you. And like I said, be on the lookout for this episode and many more coming on 12 Faces of Sober. And thank you again for your time. Christina, hold tight. This is 12 Faces of Sober.